Good evening, Fernwood. It is your occasionally overstimulated friend here, Neil, and it's time for us to stimulate ourselves with the start of a whole new week of Mary Hartman, Mary Hartman. Today we will be checking out June 4th, 1976's episode. I feel like last Friday's episode put a button on a lot of the things that we were talking about through the week, so let's just cover that. We began with a conversation between Ed and Howard McCullough about the meaning of getting married between the two of them. Now, this was 1976, so it wouldn't have been a legal marriage, but making some kind of commitment between them is something that Howard really is careful to avoid, and Ed just really wants to make this commitment. Speaking of relationships, Kathy confesses to Father DeMarco that she has feelings of love for him. Now, Father DeMarco does not encourage any kind of emotional commitment between the two of them, but that is something that is kind of left in the air. That is followed by an entirely less respectable church official, and that would be Merle Jeters, who makes a phone call to Loretta Haggers to get her to nurse his sick son, who is not actually visible in the room. As soon as Charlie makes the move to come with Loretta to the hotel, Merle cancels that call. So fairly suspicious. He says that Merle said that Jimmy Joe was feeling just fine, and well, I don't think very well of Merle at this point. Then at the McCulloughs, Betty consoles her son Howard about the strain in Howard and Ed's relationship, and maybe starts to push again on getting Howard involved with Mary Hartman. I don't think it's a good idea, but that's her thing that she keeps banging on. But there's some kind of stress going on between Howard and Ed. I guess that is something that we will continue to see, but that heart-to-heart is interrupted by Tom Hartman, who has been numbing his pain after he broke up with Mary since she slept with Dennis. We will see more of what's going on with Ed and Howard as things go on, I imagine. That's followed by a romantic moment between Dennis and Mary. They have a lovely little dance together, and we find that Mary wants to be married and Dennis does not want to be married. So that is a little bit of a question mark going on in that relationship, not to mention how much is unresolved between Mary and Tom. Before that conversation is resolved, Betty comes over and says that Ed has moved out. Apparently there were some things that happened off screen that maybe we'll find out more about. And then finally we see Ed and Tom together, maybe having some tough talk about getting the treatment that Tom really does need. Tom does not believe that he's an alcoholic, even though he has been really staggeringly drunk over the last couple of weeks, again, due to hiding the pain that he has been feeling over breaking up with Mary. I think that covers most of the beats that we might see, so let's go ahead and get started on this Monday night episode of Mary Hartman, Mary Hartman.
Mary Hartman! Mary Hartman!
Talk to me.
I can't.
Please?
No, because of what you said and what I thought and just what happened between me and you and Heather.
What happened to Heather?
Well, she's just been feeling so alienated, and I just really can't engage in civilized conversation about why you don't want to marry me and why I would want to marry you, and to discuss my former marriage, which really isn't a former marriage, and how this contributed to breaking that up. Because you told me you loved me, and I told you that I loved you, and you said this was right.
That's right, but I didn't say anything about getting married.
Well, you certainly did. Of course you did. You implied it. I mean, you said you loved me, and you said that there was truth in the fact that you loved me, and you said that we couldn't deny any of that.
That's right. But I didn't say the part about married.
Well, isn't it the same thing?
No. I mean, yes, only in your mind.
Is this our first fight?
No, we're just getting to know one another.
Well, I'm really losing my composure, and I have no sense of humor. I miss Tom so much.
Well, I love your sense of humor.
Well, I'm feeling very, very tense.
You shouldn't smoke.
Well, you just choose 1 from column A and 2 from column B, okay?
I beg your pardon?
They're just moods. They're states of mind. They're like items on a Chinese menu.
All right. You still shouldn't smoke.
You're not Heather. You're not my daughter. You don't tell me what to do.
I care.
You cared you'd be my husband isn't married.
It's not the same thing. Look, I just have my way of doing things.
That is such a line.
It's the truth.
You had a heart attack, right? You're in an ambulance, right? We make love in a hospital, right? What are you afraid? You're gonna cause a scene?
I love you. But I don't think that because a person loves somebody that they have to change themselves.
I'm not asking you to change yourself.
You are. Look, I'm a bachelor.
So,
So,
I miss Tom so much.
so you're asking me to become someone who's married.
You know, I just gotta tell you, it's a very weak argument. I mean, you were engaged to Kathy.
Engaged. I was engaged to catch your attention. I was not engaged to be married.
You know, you make a joke about this, but I happen to be very serious about this.
No, I'm not joking.
I happen to be a very serious person, which is something that you may not have noticed about me before. But I am a very serious person, and I have been a very serious person since I became 30, because 30 is a very serious age. And most people in my position, if they're women who have children, are so serious about their lives at this moment that right now, at this moment, they would be screaming about their entire lives. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I understand.
Don't.
I'm sorry.
No, don't do that, please. Where's Tom? I miss Tom so much.
All right, you're right. But I think you're too upset to know that I'm right too. So
You gonna leave?
I'm gonna leave, and just till you're listening better, and till I'm communicating better, and
Are you gonna call? Are you gonna call?
I'll call.
You gonna call?
Yeah.
He isn't gonna call. No, he is gonna call. He'll call. He'll call because he'll remember what he said. He'll realize that it was silly. He'll realize what I said was silly. He'll realize. He still wants to be with me. It's very clear that he wants to be with me. He wants to be with me. He wants to be with me because he knows I also want to be with him. He's going to call me, and I wish Tom would come back. To get my life in order. 1. Decide about Tom and divorce. No, he's going to decide about that. Okay. Decide about Dennis, who is going to call. So that decision is Dennis's. Figure out my economic situation. Budget, savings, income, expenses. Too difficult. I'm going to worry about that tomorrow. But I will make a note that I have to face it at some point. Okay. Face budget. Okay. Now, Heather, who is going to be a now and happening child, despite her sense of alienation. I will buy her platform shoes. At least she'll talk to me.
It's a bad time, just say so, I'll go.
No.
I would have phoned first, except my mother's been perched right over my shoulder.
Oh, really? I know what that's like. My mother does that to me. I have even occasion perched on Heather's shoulders, which are so small that it's quite annoying to her.
Saw Dennis.
How did you know?
Well, I've been debating with myself whether I should just approach that delicately or jump in.
You jumped, huh?
Yeah, well, Tom came home and he was all upset, and he said you were upset. So I figured the both of you were upset about Dennis, and I was upset.
About Dennis?
No, just that Ed and I haven't been getting along too well lately. Haven't been agreeing about anything except maybe who gets the sports section first thing in the morning.
Ed.
Yeah. And as you know how I feel about the sports section early in the morning, so I decided to take a walk. And since there wasn't a cop car out front, I stopped in.
How upset is Tom?
He was home 3 minutes and took a drink, and then Ed took him out bowling.
Which means he'll have a half a dozen more, which he always does when he bowls.
Which I tried to tell Ed, which, as usual, he would not listen to.
People have to listen.
I agree.
You know what? I just realized something.
What's that?
You are the most sympathetic person that I have ever talked to.
Yeah.
You really are. It's sympathetic in the sense of sympathetic vibrations. It's like whenever I don't know you that well or anything, but it just seems like whenever I'm frazzled, you're not, you know what I mean? And whenever I'm feeling something, it doesn't make you that nervous, and it doesn't make me that nervous if you're,
We compliment each other.
That's exactly right. That's what I mean. It's nice. It's a nice thing. Oh, God, I wish I had those kind of sympathetic vibrations with Tom.
Yeah, that's the way I feel about Ed, too. But if you can't get it at home, it's nice to know that it's just down the block.
Yeah, that's true. Thank you.
Hi.
Oh, Heather.
Hi, Heather.
I'm interrupting.
No, sweetheart.
It's okay.
Heather, you're not interrupting. What do you think you're interrupting?
Another affair.
Heather, what do you mean?
Well, first Dennis, now him.
I mean now Howard.
Well, it's just like in Shampoo.
In what?
It was with Warren Beatty. Of course, with him, it was all these girls.
How do you know about Shampoo?
I saw it. I liked it.
Oh, I wanted to see that, but Tom was always too tired. How do you know about Shampoo?
I saw it. I liked it, too.
How could you know about Shampoo? That's an R-rated movie.
I know.
What do you mean you know? So how did you get to see it? How did you get tickets?
Some guys bought us tickets.
Some guys? What guys? Who's us?
Me and Pamela Frickert.
Pamela Frickert and I. Who's Pamela Frickert?
A girl in my class who got transferred from Coolidge.
I want to know about the guys.
I want to know about your affair.
Heather, now stop that. I'm your mother, and I am not having an affair with Howard. And what I want to know about is I want to know about those guys. I want to know how they got you tickets.
And we asked them. One guy's name was Bob, and the other guy's name was Bob, too.
Heather, you are not 18, and an R-rated movie means that you have to be 18 to get into.
17.
Yeah, that's why we asked them. We were afraid they wouldn't let us in. Only it turned out that the girl in the box office, she was 16, and she was lying about her age, too.
What about the doormen? Aren't they supposed to protect children from things like this?
Well, he was a friend from the two Bobs from Fernwood High. I'm not a child. I'm almost a teenager.
But why, Heather? I mean, why would they do a thing like that?
Because all guys would do that if you ask.
Did they want a date?
No. Just the one Bob said that Pamela could look him up in a year or two. She's more developed than I am.
Heather, I am so disappointed in you.
So am I.
I mean, I really don't understand something here. They have laws. I mean, there are reasons for these laws why a guardian or a parent can only accompany a child to go anywhere. They don't mean two Bobs from Fernwood High.
Well, you wouldn't have taken me.
Well, that's because it's an adult movie, even if I haven't seen it.
Well, it won an Academy Award.
I don't care if it won the Pulitzer Prize.
A movie cannot win the Pulitzer Prize. That's for writing, like journalism and books. We learned that in history.
Well, you don't have to be fresh about it.
I'm not being fresh. I'm just telling you what I learned in school.
Heather, you are never to confuse any argument you have with your mother with anything you learn in school.
Don't you want to know why I was disappointed?
No. Yes, I do. It's very important to keep an open dialogue with your child. Why?
Well, you're just like Warren Beatty in Shampoo. You got all these people, and you don't know who you want. And in the end, you're going to wind up all alone.
Heather, you better let me say something.
No, you just back up, my mother. I'm going to go over Grandma's.
Heather! I think it's the school system.
Clyde, that is just music to my ears. I mean, you got the record?
Bottom and nail?
Yeah. And he says that he loved it. He says there was a hell of a huge initial reaction.
Oh, Charlie.
With reservations. What reservations?
What? Which ones?
He
What
says
were
nothing serious, honey. Said just that they were thinking maybe they get another baby boy.
Well, I thought this was as good as baby boy.
Well, so do I, honey. Clyde, listen, you still are going to promote it, aren't you? Oh, well, that's better. That's better. I'll tell you something, fella. I promise you this is going to be a bigger hit than baby boy. Right. Right, old buddy. Right, talk to you. Bye-bye. A much bigger hit.
Oh, Charlie, I just love you so much,
Honey, now, the first thing we got to do is we got to be careful about your TV exposure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we've got to have a country and western tour, I think, with maybe some of the stars from Grand Ole Opry.
Right, and I'm definitely gonna cut me an album.
You bet, honey. And in Nashville.
Charlie, this kills me, honey. I ain't seen you so worked up since we left for Hollywood to do the Dinah show.
And no more flubs this time. No more flubs like on the Dinah show. I mean, this time there's nothing going to stop you from being a superstar.
I know it. I'm just gonna be a superstar.
I don't think I've seen you this up in a while either.
Well,
You know, maybe all you needed was a little whiff of show business success. Get you off the sidetrack of him singing and onto the main track of your career.
well, let's don't start in on missionary work, because I do still believe that the Bible is my soul's strength, source of strength. But a little career shot in the arm never hurt anybody.
It's going to be like old times. It's going to be money and excitement and money.
Yeah, I really guess I did miss a little bit of it myself.
Haggers family.
Hello, Mr. Haggers. This is Reverend Jeter. Can I talk to Mrs. Haggers, please?
You certainly can, my son. Excuse me, Reverend.
Hi, Jimmy Joe. What can I do for you, Reverend Sweetheart?
I'm sorry to call you in trouble like this, but it's my daddy. I'm really worried about him, Mrs. Haggers.
Well, what's the problem, hon?
I can't say on the phone, but it's something mighty simple and important. And I gotta talk to you about it before he gets back. So, could you come over to the motel right now?
Well, I surely can, and I'll be there in a minute. You just stay right there. I'll see you in a second. Bye.
I want to go with you.
Charlie, no. I don't know what it is, but the Reverend has a problem, and he wants to talk to me alone. But Merle isn't going to be there.
Honey, are you sure Merle isn't going to be there? I want to go with you.
Charlie, trust me. This is a personal, confidential problem between my minister and myself.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, thank you so much.
You sure you don't want some of your grandmother's cake?
No, thanks. I will. Yes. And goodbye to you, too.
You really sure?
Positive. Oh, dear. This is all so exciting. Even if it was a collect call.
I noticed that.
Oh, George, I think Adoptofine thinks that they have tracked down my father.
I'm not deaf, Martha. I heard that. But the least you could do is say hello to your granddaughter.
Well, I have already, but I will again. Hello, Heather.
Who's your real father supposed to be, anyhow?
Don't you want some cake?
No, thanks.
You sure it wasn't John D. Rockefeller?
Well, they couldn't give me a name, but they are going to contact me in a couple of days.
Collect?
Can I change my mind about that cake?
Yes, of course you can, sweetheart. Oh, I am so excited. I do hope it wasn't all some tremendous mistake, and that I am opening a Pandora's box full of horrible troubles.
Yeah, it's the last thing we need.
How's that?
Nothing.
She's probably upset about her father.
Her mother.
What about your mother?
I think she's having another affair.
Well, I thought you liked Dennis. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I didn't mean that your mother is having an affair with Dennis Foley. Why, I wouldn't say anything like that for anything in this world. I mean, you are such an impressionable child.
Martha, please don't say anything more because...
Dennis, he left.
You mean there's somebody else? Now, not that you would know. You're just guessing, aren't you? Because children have such suggestible minds.
Well, it's Howard McCulloch from down the block. You know, I think my mother's becoming compulsive.
Howard?
With her, Mary?
It's not that I don't like the guy. It's just that I feel I'm getting in the way. Maybe I should come live here.
Oh is right. Let's take it back to the top of the episode with a hard conversation between Dennis and Mary. And again, they have very different points of view about what a relationship means. Of course, Dennis is going to resist being a not single man. And Mary finds marriage, that state of marriage, to be very important. Of course, Dennis is going to give some room. Hopefully there'll be some better conversation about this. We already know how I feel about Dennis. Then Mary spends a little bit of time weighing the Dennis and Tom situation, and she has a lot of very unresolved feelings. I think that's really first. I think that's before Mary gets involved with Dennis. She needs to figure out how she feels in general. I don't think she's going to, because she's Mary, but that's something that seems very important. Then, of course, we get a great listening ear from Howard, and I really like their relationship, even though it appears that people are putting other thoughts about what their relationship is on top of their relationship. Like, it's enough that Betty thinks that Howard and Mary should be getting together, but that Heather confuses it for an affair? Do people even still use the phrase affair nowadays? I don't really know how it works. Then, of course, Heather has a little scene about seeing Shampoo, which is, I think, a movie that might have been racy in the 1970s. I think it was a 60s movie, but I think it was a movie that was racy back then and would be considered really tame today. I haven't seen it, so I think I'm gonna do my best to, if there's a trailer on YouTube, I will put up a card, because I like putting up cards. And maybe I'll see Shampoo to see what that's all about. Then we get a couple of little scenelets with the Haggers talking through Vitamin L getting recorded, and you know, Loretta seems so excited about maybe getting her career together, but then a call from Jimmy Joe to talk about something privately. I'm very curious because there seems to be a little bit of a schism between Jimmy Joe and Merle. Merle is, of course, moving towards a profiteering motive for the church, but Jimmy Joe is questioning that, and maybe has seen some abusive moments with Merle. Not physically, but definitely things that I would consider abuse. Then we get our scene with the Shumways, where Martha talks about her father being found by the Adoptifind agency. I don't know the name of the agency, but we'll figure that out. And then Heather complains about living with Mary and suggests that Heather could move in with her grandparents. So, well, that is the start of our week here. We're getting pretty close to the end of season 1. I'm not sure exactly what that means in terms of the whole series, but season 1 was 130 episodes. I think this is 116, so expect something soon. I think that there are some very interesting moves being made here. I want to know more about what's going on with Ed and Howard. Apparently, Ed did not actually move out, but I guess we will see exactly where that lays when we see them together. But they aren't getting along. I have maybe gone through a tangent there, but let's do this. Thank you so much for spending some time with me, and we will see you tomorrow night in Fernwood.